and a warm welcome to a very special podcast series, SheDiaries Trailblazers. This is a series in conversation with trailblazing women from all across the world. They have left a deep mark, positively, of course, in all that they do and would be doing and have been doing over the last several years. Their accomplishments have been emulated by hundreds of thousands across the world. For this episode, I'm delighted to have someone who has come all the way from Italy. Annachiara Sarto, Director, Protection for Kids. Her work encompasses human rights, advocacy, gender equity, gender rights, child protection, and sustainability, among many other things that she continues to do. She was in India earlier in a teaching assignment, of course, where she taught in a university in Pune. And we're delighted to have you here.
Thank you.
For having this conversation with us and to be part of this podcast, Annachiara. We are having this conversation at a time when lots of things are happening across the world. So we'll not get into those details because that's not the remit of this podcast. But let me ask you one thing. You represent youth leadership on a global stage, and what inspired you to do this? What motivated you to do this? Was there a certain trigger? Was there an incident? Was there a wow moment and you found your calling? And particularly, when did you realize that you should get headlong into working focused on empowering and protecting young people?
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure for me to be here with you all. And there was indeed a trigger in my life. So it was 2016, and I was in South Africa because I was there to learn and improve my knowledge of English. And I was staying in a host family. And then one day, basically, the mom of this host family got a call, and I saw that she was very moved. So we were in a pizza delivery shop. So after that, she ran out and she told me, we know to go to my son's school as soon as possible. So at that stage, we ran out, we went to the school, and we met the two teachers that were extremely crying and sad and traumatized, of course. So I was like, what happened? And they told us that a couple of moments before they were calling us, two fake parents came to the school and kidnapped 4 children in the same classroom of Noah, the little boy I was living with. So at that time, I was 17 years old and I was totally shocked. I was used to come from the northeast of Italy, and I only kind of used to hear these kind of things happening always to others and very distant to me. So in that moment, I was inside the thing. I mean, I knew the people, and from that moment on, that precise evening, I went back to my house in South Africa, and I wanted to have some data about it. And so I looked at in 2016, the year I was in South Africa, a child was missing every 9 minutes related to child trafficking. So after that, I came back from Italy, and I was like, okay, in my life, I wanted to do something to counter child trafficking. So that's how it started.
So there's a telling piece of statistics that you have just told us, and some very difficult stories. For instance, the story about fake parents landing up in a school and kidnapping children. You were very young, 17 at that point. Was it that moment that you decided to do whatever you're doing now, or prior to these experiences, what is it something that you thought you will become?
Honestly, I've always been very passionate about art, modern art, contemporary art. So before this experience in South Africa, my dream was to become a museum director. But after that, I was like, okay, I can keep my passion for art as an hobby, and maybe it's better I concentrate myself to do something else, job-wise.
In many ways, you are also a change maker. In your view, how can young women become leaders and change makers and take that up as a career today?
Well, I never dreamt to become a change maker, what I become and what I had was a passion to protect the children in vulnerable situation and a humanitarian context. So I don't think there should be the passion of becoming a change maker, but rather you should have a passion related to your job, and that would somehow take you, if you're very passionate, very dedicated to it, to maybe become a change maker. But when I was at the first day of university in The Hague, in the Netherlands, my professor came to the school and she was like, tonight, when you go home, make a favor to yourself. And when you do go home, please start to look at the job of your dream. Try to look at the job requirements they're asking and try to work for that since this very evening. So at that point, this to me was life changing in the sense that I started to work on my motivation, on my objective since the very first day of university. And this, I think, somehow leads me to where I am today.
Very inspiring. We are in the high noon of technology. Artificial intelligence is changing lives, probably, which was unimaginable even, say, 5 years ago. Uh, it's important to harness and use technology for our own benefit. So, how do you think innovation and technology can be harnessed and utilized for empowering youth and children?
I think technology and AI both can be some very good instruments to help us work on a daily basis. And I think each professional nowadays should be using those instruments, because somehow if he or she wouldn't use these kind of instruments will be somehow behind the others, because everyone almost is using those instruments and they can be very helpful. However, I'm also studying how international crimes affect people by, social media and
Mm,
technology. So I think that the very first thing should be to be aware of the fact that, we call it that digital world as a far west, in the
right.
sense that you should be very aware of the damages and challenges that the technology world has, because otherwise you could risk to be a victim instead of using it as a power.
Absolutely. You talked about international issues, and how technology actually cuts across, because social media has completely upended the communication ecosystem across the world. But tell me one thing: how can international collaboration help in addressing issues affecting today's youth?
That's a great question in the sense that I remember my professor of internet law saying at the university that internet somehow is the fastest thing in the world, so it's always moving, and what is moving, of course, should be also the policy and the legal advices and references and directives concerning internet. But internet does not have a border. Internet is transnational, right? So I think that fundamental for surviving nowadays the technology and using that as an instrument is cooperating transnationally,
Absolutely.
because since internet does not have a borders, we should have effective resolution, we should have effective impact, but that could only be transnational because internet doesn't have limits.
Yeah.
So it's I think it's fundamental to cross-culturally implement references across the challenges that the internet can pose to the life of every one of us.
Absolutely. And finally, what is the message that you would like to give to young girls who want to create impact in their own societies in the manner that you are doing?
Well, I have a phrase, a sentence that is very special to me. That could be initially very simple because it's just 5 days remain.
Mm,
And I think the motivation I have to do my work on a daily basis is meeting the people and the stories of the people I meet across the world. And one day I was meeting a refugee person in some Greek refugee camps. And I was meeting this person and his family. I was helping them to get the refugee status. And after I think 1 month we met, this person asked me, "When are you gonna come back in this refugee camp?" And I said, "I'm gonna come back like in 8 months." So one day after that, I was in my house. I was watching a movie. It was a Sunday evening, and on one stage I got a text, and it was like 5 days remain. So it was him basically reminding us that he was doing the counting for our arrival there. So I think the motivation that every girl should find is in the stories of the people that they meet around.
Absolutely. Stories which are mounted on people. The stories are always on
Yeah.
people, and that is why we need to look for stories that have a positive impact
Indeed.
on people. And time is always running out. Thank you so much, Annachiara
Thank
Sarto,
you.
for taking the time out and dropping by to have this
Thank you. It
conversation.
was my pleasure.
Thank you.